Hello and welcome back to Harry's Jeti videos. This time we're going to look at the Jeti MGPS unit. It would be nice if Jeti would hurry up and get round to changing all its units to be in EX bus rather than EX. So perhaps at some point in the future you'll be lucky enough to be watching this video with an EX bus device, and therefore some of this video will no longer be relevant. Oh, what's the difference? An EX bus device turns up in Device Explorer. An EX device does not. You can only get to it through JetiBox, and the JetiBox emulator, frankly, is a bit of a pain in the you-know-where. However, we'll have a look at what we need to do with it. Okay, so our lovely assistant for this video is the F-86 Sabre, and there, sitting nice and flat with its top face pointing up to the sky for the satellites, is our little MGPS EX sensor. Let's see, what can we do with it? Well, all sorts of things. I hope that holds. Okay, let's dive in and have a look. Timers and sensors. Sensors and logging setup. Have a look down here, and there it is, our MGPS. And as usual, you can say yes or no to whether it gets logged. That means, does it get recorded onto the SD card in the transmitter? If you say no, all it affects is whether it gets recorded. You can still set up all your displayed telemetry, alarms, voice outputs, and what have you. This is purely, does it get recorded on the SD card for you to review later in Data Analyzer or Jeti Studio, Google Earth, that kind of thing. So I thought, yep, it'd be good to have a timestamp. Obviously I want the latitude and longitude so I can show the ribbon on Google Earth, and also worst case scenario, model crashes out, disappears into the corn somewhere. You've got a latitude and longitude to where it came to its end. I don't bother call it a satellite count. Altitude, no, that's altitude above the GPS reference altitude, which will be something like mean sea level. Distance in yards. Distance is from the origin, not from you and not from the start point. It's where you set the origin, and we'll come to that. Speed, miles an hour, I've selected, say log that, yes. Remember, it's ground speed, not air speed. Different thing. And relative altitude, so that's above where, either where we started or at least the origin anyway. And again, we'll come to the origin. So that's more of interest to me, height above where I am rather than height above the GPS reference point, which I say is going to be something like mean sea level or thereabouts. Quick word about altitude and GPS. GPS system is poor at doing altitude. It's not a reflection on Jeti or their sensor. It is the GPS system is not good at altitudes. So don't sort of rely on your GPS altitude in court. It can have a bit of an accuracy and quite a bit of lag to it. For example, it sometimes shows me landing on the runway, or I should say 10 feet above the runway, and gradually descending back down to the ground by the time I've taxied back to the pits, which would be quite a feat if I could do it. Anyway, so there we go. What else can you do? You can set alarms, should you wish. I haven't got one, but you could add, say, a GPS height alarm, GPS speed alarm, what have you for those. And voice output. I've got some on my trigger switch, which is this one here, pulled towards me. Let's have a look at what I've got set up. If you're wondering about these, have a look on my file about the transmitter can talk to you to see how to set these things up. And I've got, as you can see on the trigger switch, speed at high, altitude relative at medium, and distance at low. The priority just gives you the sequence they'll be spoken in, so let's have a listen.
Speed, 0 miles per hour. Altitude, 184 feet. Distance, 111,917 yards.
Right, very interesting. You think, what is it talking about? You've just seen the GPS here, about, an inch, well, 12 inches from the transmitter. how can it be that huge distance away and 180 odd feet of height? Let's have a look. I've put on the front screen display telemetry. That's the distance the model is. It's from this origin that you have to set. Now, I do wish Jeti had programmed it that it set its origin when it's switched on every time. Other GPS units I've used do that for their data calculations and relative altitudes. With Jeti, you have to set it where you are. You only have to set, if you're always flying at the same airfield from the same sort of point, just set it once. That's it. It doesn't need to be set every time you turn the thing on. But if you go to a different airfield, or as we are here back in my workshop where the origin was set at the airfield, it's going to report quite something incredible. What you really would like is how far is the model away from you, or to within at least a few yards if you were to set the origin in the pits, for example, and you're standing in the pilot's box when you get it recorded. Okay, how do you set the origin? You'll notice there are two wires coming from your MGPS, one with a black plug and one with a red plug. I forget which is which. Do try reading the instructions, it's quite illuminating. One of them plugs into the EXT port on the receiver and it reports telemetry data as usual. The other one is for setting the origin. It also acts as setting just an impulse which would be recorded on the memory in the GPS, and the length of the impulse between you moving the switch and moving it back can be cross-referenced to something. For instance, you might use the impulse at the time you switch on the motor, and that you could then cross-reference that impulse to the altitude data and things like this. It's just too much hassle when you've got stuff in the transmitter doing it all for you now. See, a lot of this goes back to the days of Jeti not making transmitters, when there was a module, and how would you record all your data in a module which didn't probably record, so the memory was in the GPS and it's still there. Okie doke. How do we set that? Right. Menu, model, function assignment. I created a function called GPS reset and I set it to this switch here. Yeah. And then had to assign a channel to it, which I did. I've got a 12 channel receiver. I'm using 11 of them, so channel 12 got the GPS reset. So if I flick that switch, obviously the signal just goes from plus 100 to minus 100, or minus 100 to plus 100. I don't think the MGPS is bothered. It's just had an impulse, and so it will set the origin if you've told it that that's what you're going to do. Remember that lead from the MGPS that is used for setting the origin, or impulse anyway, is plugged into 12. The other lead is plugged into the EXT port. Right, now we go to applications, Jeti box. I do not like Jeti box, but we have to live with it. We don't want the transmitter, so we want to move along to the right to the next column along, which will be receiver. No, the next column to the right of that is MX, which is telemetry sensors. Remember, all your telemetry sensors from Jeti start with M, so MGPS, MBAR, MUI, that kind of thing. And that's the one we want, so we'll come down into that. I've got an MBAR in this model, I don't want that, so I'll come along to the right. And that is my GPS. That one is the Zikoi telemetry adapter, so that's the one I want. It's got the curly arrow to it, which means that's the one we will go into if we press the button to the right. If we press the down button, we'd select the next item. So we'll come back up to this one. Height will be okay. And I'll go into the right, and we're into our MGPS. Where do we go from here? I think it's down. Yeah, lovely. Okay, we're into the MGPS menu. Actual value, we're at the top of the actual values column, and if we press the right hand button, we'd move to the next column along to the right of that. There isn't a left hand one because we're at the most left hand one. So if we go down, we'll come down the column and see what's in actual values. Distance, speed 102 kilometers away from me. And so it goes on. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Come back up. Right, we're up into the MGP. We can now move to the right to the next column along, which is minimum and maximum. So if you go down there, it'll show you all the minimum and maximums it's recorded. I think minimum max must be in the entirety of its internal memory, not the last flight. MGPS menu setting. Oops. Calm down, little saber. This is the right. Start new record. Record ID 2. This is about the internal memory in the GPS. I've just let it fill up in the past. I never look at it because I look at all the recordings in the logging in the transmitter through Jeti Studio. Time done. Right. Set origin. Now, what this is saying is, we're height in meters, distance in kilometers. If I was to press left and right at the same time, and hold it down until it goes set, it would reset the origin to where we are now. And therefore it will report, instead of being, 111,000 yards away or whatever, it will report no yards away. And it will report the height as being 0 instead of 55 meters. I'm not going to do that yet because I'm hoping we can find something interesting later on. Keep coming down. Keep coming down. Well, that one, by the way, tells you what the how much memory has been used. And I've not been doing this for long in the workshop since I reset that, and already it's guzzling into it, 6%. Recording period, it'll make a record every 1 second. Again, that's on the memory inside the MGPS unit, nothing to do with what's going on in the recording in your transmitter. Keep coming down, come on. Alarms, alarms, alarms. Don't use these, please. Velocity unit, kilometers an hour or meters per second. It doesn't allow miles per hour, whatever. But again, your transmitter does that if you're using all the telemetry stuff in there. Distance, speed. Set time zone. Yep, we're at GMT +1 because it's summertime, allegedly, in Britain. Goodness knows what that is. Right, here we are. Set origin by the impulse input or by menu only. Do you remember a few steps back up here a few seconds ago, I showed you that we could do the double button press to reset the origin, but I wasn't going to. So that would be menu only. Do you fancy going through all this palaver to get to it to reset the origin every time you change airfield? I certainly don't. So I chose the impulse input. So that's why I remember I set this switch and channel 12 to send an impulse bang through that one that's plugged into channel 12. Right. Okay, done with that one. Come back up. Nearly there, nearly there. And then, now we're back up to the main top headings. You can come along, set the alarms. Again, don't bother, do it in your transmitter if you want them. GPS data, that just shows your current latitude, longitude, etc. Here's what I don't like about Jeti Box. Sometimes you have to wait and press the button twice, and then just as you press it the second time, it catches up and jumps twice. But anyway, service menu where you can do a factory reset of it. Right, let's come out of there. There we are. We're back to, there's the origin. So if I flick this switch, it'll reset the origin to 0. What I'm going to try is something sneaky, because guess what? I forget to flick the switch when I change airfield. And I say, nah, you could set it to something else, like your retract switch or your flap switch, but then you go and operate those in flight, and boom, it's, it's going to keep resetting the origin all around the air. What is the one thing I only do just before the start of a flight that I don't do in flight? That is start the timer. And when I created this model and bit by bit set it up many years ago, the menu option we're about to try did not exist. But in one of the recent software updates, Jeti gave us some fabulous new options. They really hugely expanded the switch options. So that's what we're going to have a look at and see if we can get this to work. So I'm going to model, back to my functions assignment, Back to my GPS reset, and I'm going to take it off, switch SH. And let's see if this will work. This is new territory. I didn't trial this before making the video because obviously that would have cleared out the memory and wouldn't have been so much... it would have cleared the distance to 0, and that would have been a pity because you wouldn't have been able to see it working. I could just tell you about it. Right, let's try timers. It'll be flight time. Yo. Now that's interesting. Because in a previous video I showed when you select a timer it just has a running control. Never mind. Let's see if this works. We'll say OK to that. We'll come up here. I'll start the timer. There's our countdown timer. There's our distance. Let's see what happens. Not a lot. Okay. Let's stop it there for a second. Menu. Fine tuning. What am I doing? Silly boy. Model. Functions. Timer 01. Maybe we don't want it to be proportional. Maybe that would work. And timer 01 is, I think we've stopped it, so we'll reverse it. Okay. Right, start the timer. No, that's not going to do it either. So we stop there. Model, function assignment. I'm determined to make this work, you know. There is the timer is showing as off. How do we get the timer to be the on position? Let's come back out, start the timer. Model, function assignment. Timer's off.
6 minutes.
We know the timer's running. Let's try that. Okay, well, it's gone to the tick 01, so it should have toggled. Unfortunately, I've got a timer button here to run the thing. Let's go out and have a look. Okay. Oh, and there it is. Done it. 0 yards. So it should be now that whenever I set the timer, it sets a new origin. No, sorry, start the timer. A new origin is set, which is great. Okay, it'll do it every flight. You don't need to strictly do it every flight, but it does mean that I can forget about it.
5 minutes.
Thank you. I can forget about it now, and it will reset the origin so that when I ping the switch to think, how far away is that model from me?
Speed 0 miles per hour. Altitude 0 feet.
Yes.
Distance 0 yards.
Yes. Hey, Jeti works. Bye for now.